they desire, or they to expand one's kingdom, or the process is called colonization. And I have a definition of a colonization. Colonization is the process whereby a government, a kingdom, or ruler determines to extend his kingdom, rulership, or influence to additional territory, with the purpose of impacting that territory with his will and desires. He also said that the principle of colonization is understood in the process of transforming an extended territory to be just like the center of government from which it extended. That is, to manifest the nature and will of the ruler in the lifestyle, actions, activities, culture of that territory. So it's actually, colonization is to establish the culture of that kingdom in another territory. So it is God's desire to establish the culture of heaven, the lifestyle of heaven here on earth, and he created earth. In the Lord's Prayer, Jesus taught his disciples the Lord's Prayer, and he said, "Let thy kingdom come and thy will be done here on earth." It is always has been God's intention to establish the kingdom of God on this earth. So he created earth for the sole purpose. And he created an angelic being called Lucifer. And he put him in charge of earth. And Lucifer was in charge to bring worship. He was made in every precious son. He was prophet on the day he was made. And he desired, and it was for him to maintain this kingdom dominion and to lead worship to God. But he desired more than that. He desired to be more than what he was created to do. And God kicked him out of heaven. In Isaiah 45:18, actually in Isaiah 14:12-16, it reads, "How are you fallen from heaven, O shining star, son of the morning? You have been thrown down to earth. You who destroy the nations of the world, for you said to yourself, I will ascend to heaven and set my throne above God's stars. I will preside on the mountain of God, far away in the north. I will climb to the highest heavens and be like the Most High. Instead, you will be brought down to the place of the dead, down to its lowest depths. Everyone there will stare at you and ask, can this be the one who shook the earth and made the kingdoms of the world tremble? Is this the one who destroyed the world and made it into a wasteland? Is this the king who demolished the world's greatest cities and had no mercy on his prisoners?" Also Ezekiel 28 verses 13-17, "You were in Eden, the garden of God. Your clothing was adorned with every precious stone, red carnelian, pale green peridot, white moonstone, blue-green beryl, onyx, green jasper, blue lapis and lazuli, turquoise and emerald, all beautifully crafted for you and set in the finest gold. They were given to you on the day you were created. I ordained and anointed you as the mighty angelic guardian. You had access to the holy mountain of God and walked amongst the stones of fire. You were blameless in all you did from the day you were created until the day evil was found in you. Your rich commerce led you to violence and you sinned. So I banished you in disgrace from the mountain of God. I expelled you, O mighty guardian, from your place among the stones of fire. Your heart was filled with pride because of all your beauty. Your wisdom was corrupted by your love of splendor. So I threw you to the ground and exposed you to the curious gaze of kings. Actually, the place we just read right now in Isaiah 14 was actually referring to the king of Babylon. But there's something the Bible talks about, the Bible uses called the law of double reference, where a prophetic utterance can be talking about one thing, but actually it's talking also about another thing. If you remember in Genesis, when God was talking to in Genesis chapter 3, God was talking to, when man fell, and God began to talk to the serpent and say that the seed of the woman will crush your heel. That the seed of the woman will crush your head, but you will crush the heel of the seed of the woman. That is what is called double reference. I mean, today, when we see a snake, we crush the head. But if the snake coming from Africa, if you match or step on a snake, it will bruise your heel. That in reality, men and snakes are not friendly. When we see a snake, you want to kill it. But also, it was also referring to what Jesus would do to the devil or Satan on the cross of Calvary. That is what is called double reference. In Isaiah, where we just read, Isaiah 14, Isaiah was referring or taunting to the king of Babylon, but it was also referring to a force or the influence behind the king of Babylon. In the Bible, when there was a time Jesus called Peter, "Get behind me, Satan." He was talking to Peter, but he also was referring to the force, the influence behind what Peter was trying to do. Peter was trying to stop Jesus from getting to the cross. In Ezekiel, where we read right now, Ezekiel 28, actually Ezekiel was referring to the king of Tyre. But also is also another double reference referring to what the spirit or the influence that is behind the king of Tyre. Because most of the things that we're saying here it is impossible to attribute that to an act of a human king. No human being went up to the heaven. No human being walks in the midst of the stones. But it was referring to the devil, the Satan, the influence that is behind what these kings were doing. So, the devil was kicked out. Because of that rebellion, God wiped out the whole economy. There was an economic system. Remember I said that the earth was created before Adam. There is a word that we often hear, but we just don't think about it, called the pre-Adamite world. There was another world that was existed, or that was in existence before Adam was actually created. That was the first world. And Satan, or Lucifer, was in charge. And he decided he wanted to take over and be enthrone himself and be the Most High God. And because of that, and God wiped out the whole earth that was then with the flood. That is what is called the Lucifer flood. You have to look that up. Called the Lucifer flood. It wasn't Noah's flood, but it's Lucifer's flood. And he wiped out the entire social economic system that was then. What we saw in Genesis 1:2, in the beginning, Genesis 1, so in the beginning God made the heavens and the earth. In Genesis 2 it says, and the earth was formless and void, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the deep. When you studied that very well, that word and the earth that word was a wrong translation. It is from a Hebrew word called higher, H-A-Y-A-H. Actually, it is translated become. So it should read this way. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth became formless and void, and darkness covered over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the waters. So the earth actually became formless. So that's what happened. And if you begin to study it in Isaiah, the Bible begins to tell us that the earth was not created to be void. Isaiah 45:18 reads, "For the Lord is God, and he created the heavens and the earth and put everything in place. He made the world to be lived in, not to be a place of empty chaos or void. I am the Lord," he says, "and there is no other." But in Genesis 1:2, it says the earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered the deep waters, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. Have you ever asked where did the waters came from? Where did the waters come from? Or the darkness? Because there was a world that was, kept in charge by Lucifer. And he sinned because of pride. He wanted to be like God. And the entire economic system, that world was wiped out. We saw that also in 2 Peter 5:7. 2 Peter chapter 3, I'm reading from verse 5 to 7. "They deliberately forgot that God made the heavens by the word of his command, and he brought the earth out from the water." Listen to this. "And he brought the earth out from the water and surrounded it with water. Then he used the water to destroy the ancient world with a mighty flood. And by the same word, the present heavens and the earth have been stored up for fire. They are being kept for the day of judgment, when ungodly people will be destroyed." What we just read is saying that God brought the earth out of the water. That was when Lucifer sinned, and the whole earth was submerged underwater. And he captured, separated the water. In Genesis 3, he said, "Let there be light." Genesis, the second day he said, and God separated the waters and separated the firmament. Actually what we call the creation is actually recreation. God was actually cleaning up. So in this verse we read in 2 Peter, was saying that the world was rescued from water, and that God also destroyed that world, the ancient world, with another flood, which is Noah's flood. Like I said, there is a Lucifer's flood and there is a Noah's flood. Then after the flood, Noah's flood, God said, "I'm not going to destroy the world again with water." And he made a covenant with Noah. That's where the rainbow, anytime we see rainbow, that reminds us of the covenant that God made with Noah, that no more will he destroy the world with water. But Peter was saying that this present world will be destroyed with fire. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of touch that. It's something to think about, But anyway, let's go back to the kingdom. So God destroyed the world that was then because it's God's intention to maintain his kingdom. So in Genesis 2:3, we begin to see the Spirit of God moving, hovering upon the face of that water. To hover, move, it begins to flourish, shake it, and incubate it. And God said, "Let there be light." Because there were total darkness. After God destroyed the world, the pre-Adamite world, there was total darkness. Every vegetation, everything was completely destroyed. We don't know how long the destruction was, or how long earth was formless and void. They used to say that earth is 6,000 years, but geology has been proving that earth is actually older, way older than 6,000 years.